Now, let me ask you about the outcome of COP28, because the annual climate conference finally ended. It was extended for a couple of days to try to reach a better agreement on reductions in emissions. In the past, you've accused Team Biden of failing to address climate change. And with this landmark deal to transition away from fossil fuels, but critics say their pledge still does not do enough to reduce global warming to within the 1.5 degrees Celsius target in time by 2030. Should they have gone further?
Absolutely. The language that was put out was transitioning away from fossil fuel energy systems, a phase down of unabated coal power. Those are just kind of generic statements that anyone who's paying attention would say need to happen. It's the fact that there was no pledge of any kind to stop building new fossil fuel infrastructure. And here in America, I have been critical of the Biden administration for greenlighting one fossil project after another. We now produce more gas than any other nation. We export more fossil gas than any other nation. We produce more oil than any other nation. Those have all gone up significantly during the last 3 years. And yet we're saying to the world, join us, let's join together and tackle the challenge of climate, and yet we're producing more and more fossil fuels. It's been really driven a sense among our younger Americans of cynicism and frustration that the U.S., which needs to be leading by the power of its example, is leading with an example that will take us to climate oblivion.
And China is building more coal plants. That's a big factor here. So, at this stage, with only a few years to go, really, until 2030, is it even possible to reach this goal after the hottest year the climate has ever had?
In terms of 1.5 degrees, it is not possible, and unless you assume something extraordinary. In other words, if you burn fossil fuels at the rate we are right now, we will use up the carbon budget in 6 years, which means 6 years from now we'd have to go to zero carbon. And so that's not at all where we're headed. We're actually increasing the amount of fossils that we burn each year. We're increasing the amount of carbon we're putting in the atmosphere. So after 20 years of pretty intense international conversations about taking on this challenge, we are still going the wrong direction. So that is deeply, deeply disturbing. And each nation wants to say, hey, we'll just kind of, on the demand side, better insulate our buildings, put some electric cars out there and some charging stations, but we want to keep taking all of our fossils out of the ground because that's money for us. That's our home companies. Every country says the same thing. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. And the result is that everybody's producing more fossils, burning more fossils, and we're in deep trouble.